Dismembering a corpse and hiding a corpse after dismembering it, not bail eligible, not a serious crime. I'm not even kidding, guys.
Hey everybody, this is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So today we have to talk about Ana Kasparian from the Young Turks, because she basically came out and said, hey, look, if being on the left means that I have to support this kind of bail reform that's going on in New York City, I guess I'm not on the left and I'm okay with that. And honestly, people kind of lost their mind. A lot of people on the left have kind of been going after her for this, and it's the most reasonable take I've ever heard. So for those of you that aren't aware, in New York City, there were a group of 4 people accused of killing and dismembering 2 separate bodies. Now, they took these body parts and they littered them around trying to hide them on Long Island. Now, these people were arrested and then released without bail. In fact, one of these people has already been arrested again. So this idea that this bail reform is a good idea is demonstrably not true. And she's saying, look, if we can't keep people in jail for these actual crimes, then what are we doing? I simply don't support this, because this is absolute insanity. So let's go ahead and listen a little bit more to what Ana Kasparian has to say on the issue.
Like when Joy Behar outlined that case, I was like, she's crazy. This isn't a thing. This isn't real. This isn't real. So I looked it up. It's real, guys. It's real. Listen, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that.
So basically, she's like, come on, guys, this is absolutely insane. It's insane. We can't be releasing people accused of dismembering bodies. And while they haven't been charged with murdering these people that were dismembered, they were charged with actually disrupting the investigation and all of this hiding. So if they did not themselves murder these people, which maybe they didn't, there is definitely something going on that's causing them to want to hide this body. So we'll just put that on the back burner for a second, because Anna's going to go ahead and explain what happened. And she does a really great job. And honestly, she's really just kind of laying out the facts of what happened. So the people on the left that are saying, hey, none of us want this. This isn't what we signed up for. What did you think was going to happen if you released all of these people credibly accused of crimes out into the world? You think they're not going to commit more of these crimes? Look, sometimes people are accused of crimes that they have not committed. That's horrible, and that's why we have a judicial process before we determine guilt. However, we do hold people because we know that a certain amount and the overwhelming majority of people that the police arrest have actually committed a crime and will eventually be found guilty. And we don't want them to go out and cause more harm in the meantime while we're awaiting trial. So it's perfectly reasonable to hold these people who very likely dismembered a body and scattered these body parts across Long Island. This is a no-brainer, guys. And if you're somebody that's trying to defend this idea that we shouldn't hold these people in jail, you're just out of your mind. But anyway, we'll go ahead and let Anna kind of explain the case a little bit more.
To put them in prison. Okay, let me give you the details of the actual case, okay? So 4 people were arrested in New York after body parts were found in Long Island. Okay, dismembered body parts. The victims were, 2 people from Yonkers, older individuals. Suffolk County Police say 44-year-old Stephen Brown, 38-year-old Jeffrey Mackey, 40-year-old Amanda Wallace, and 33-year-old Alexis Neves were charged with concealment of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and hindering prosecution.
All right, we do have to stop here for a second, because that's a lot of effort to go through to get rid of a body of somebody that you did not murder. I mean, if you're going through all of these lengths, there's a good chance that at the very, very least, you are somewhat of a danger to society and should perhaps be locked away until we can actually figure out what happened. Like, are you murdering these people? Are you cutting off body parts? It's weird that you live in this place that has a bunch of meat cleavers covered in blood. That's all I'm saying on this. So anyway, back to it.
They have not been charged with murder. Prosecutors told a judge there was so much blood in pipes, sink, shower, and toilet of the Railroad Avenue home in Amityville where the suspects were arrested that it was deemed uninhabitable. Police said they confiscated meat cleavers, butcher knives, flesh, and body parts. Attorneys for Brown and Mackey admitted that their clients lived in that home where the body parts and all that blood was found, but denied chopping up the 59-year-old woman and 53-year-old man whose last known address was in Yonkers. Wallace also lived with Brown and Mackey in Amityville. Police said that Knives is homeless. Okay, all four pleaded not guilty. The judge released them without bail. They were fitted with GPS monitoring and must report in-person probation and surrender their passports.
Okay, well, at least they put them on GPS monitoring. I'm actually a little bit surprised, pleasantly so, because this is getting absolutely ridiculous. Like, the stories are so crazy coming from New York City when it comes to immigration, when it comes to crime. I mean, they've got the National Guard protecting the subway, but they still are having like shootings going on. They're letting immigrants come through. Like, the situation in New York is so out of control. If you were to have told me that these things were happening even a couple of years ago, I would be saying, no, you're 100% exaggerating. There's no way that it's actually this bad. Like, somebody would do something. Well, they aren't. So at least they're taking the steps of monitoring these people that are dismembering bodies. Now, Anna does go on to say, hey, this is completely unacceptable. What are we doing? Stop doing this. There's no way that a rational society should be allowing these things to happen. Well, keep in mind, these are the same people that have been advocating for bail reform. They go, oh, it's racist, it's classist, it's horrible to have any sort of bail because what if it disproportionately impacts poor people? Well, that is horrible. We definitely don't want poor people to be disenfranchised from our justice system, but we also don't want violent criminals out running the streets who may be murderers and at the very least are very likely the type of people that will dismember a body and hide that body around a city. That's crazy. To not lock these people up is absolute insanity. So I'm glad to see that Anna's coming around and saying, yeah, something needs to be done. And we need to make sure that when people change their position and they actually go from being unreasonable and they see the consequences of the policies that they may have supported in the past, when they don't want to keep being wrong and keep having these incorrect and horrible policies implemented, we need to make it as easy for them as possible to actually transition to correct policies. So instead of shaming Anna for taking these stances, as many people on the left are actually doing, by the way, we should say, yeah, 100%. We may not agree with you on everything, but on this, let's work together and let's stop releasing criminals and stop releasing violent people back into the streets. Let's get the streets cleaned up. Let's be tough on crime and let's work on solving these problems.
I don't care about their passports.
Dude, guys, like what? Okay, so did further research because I just couldn't believe it. Here's more. With 2019 state reforms, mutilation and disposal of murdered corpses are among crimes that are no longer bail eligible. The DA said the four went to barbaric lengths to cover the crime. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, Cenk?
Well, what are we doing? We're instituting the policy positions that you wanted to have in place. This is the logical conclusion of soft on crime, left-wing progressive policies when it comes to criminal justice reform. If you make it easier for people to get out of jail, then you are going to, by definition, get a certain amount of people that are guilty of crimes back out on the street so they can commit more crimes. This is what people on the Young Turks have been advocating for. And now that they don't like the actual outcomes of their policy positions, they're saying, oh, well, we didn't want this. This isn't actually left wing. Well, what is it then? Are you seriously going to come out and say with like a straight face that right wingers are not wanting to lock up more people? Like people on the right aren't wanting to lock up criminals? That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's, of course, not true. So they just say, well, this isn't really what we wanted. Well, okay, I will grant that I do not think that like Cenk and Anna and all of these people want to see people cut up body parts and then get released back into the general public. Of course, they don't want that. But they do allow for it with their policy positions. So they need to come out, and if they're going to continue to be intellectually honest and say, yeah, maybe we do need to be a little bit harder on criminals in these instances, because our policies, what we want, these soft on crime, no bail, all of these things, it's a flat out failure, and it's something that shouldn't be instituted. But go ahead and keep doing it in New York City. Do what you want to do. Release people after they dismember body parts. Go ahead and let all of the immigrants come through and start attacking people on subways, attack the police. And I'm sure that you're going to go ahead and try to blame somebody else for this. But these are left-wing blue policies, and this is what's causing your city to fail. So let's go ahead and admit that Anna's 100% correct on these issues. And so maybe people should move further to the right when it comes to criminal justice reform. Because after all, what are we doing?
What are we doing? What are we doing? Someone tell me, what the F are we doing?
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.